Hello everyone, my name is Victor. I'm one of the owners for Old Blind Dog BBQ. So today I am going to show you how to cook ribs. And I know you're going to say, Victor, I know how to cook ribs. My granddaddy taught me, my daddy taught me, it's slow and low, cook it for 14 hours and all the other good stuff. So if you're one of those people, just turn the video off and walk away. So I'm going to show you how to cook ribs the way we do for Old Blind Dog BBQ. It's quicker, they're juicier, they don't get stuck in your teeth, and most importantly, it takes away a lot of the fat. And we get the seasonings to be into the meat before you actually put them on the grill so that it's already inundated and it tastes a lot better. And the sauce is, again, what it's designed for, to be an accenting sauce and not a smothering sauce. So Susan, my wife, who is a traditionally trained chef, refused to be in this video because she said that I'm going to get a lot of hate mail. Oh well. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of what we do, and the great thing about the way we cook it, with almost every one of our recipes, it's designed to be played with. Designed so that you can use whatever sauces, whatever ingredients, more or less, and find out what you like, and basically have fun doing it. So, as I said, these are the pork spare ribs. Doesn't matter where you get them. We prefer these because they come in 2 packs, so you get 2 sets of ribs. If you notice, there's striation for the fat, but there's not big chunks of fat everywhere like you get with some beef ribs, and they're a lot meatier than you'll get with baby back ribs. So I've opened the package, drained off any excess blood that would be in there, and I cut it in half just so that you can have a better idea what I'm about to do. So I grabbed my second favorite knife. My first one is a butcher knife, which we no longer have. So being these ribs are really easy, they really don't have too much excess fat, so I didn't really have to do anything with this pack. Sometimes you get some that have extra. You just trim it off, not a big deal. So the easiest thing to do when you're working with ribs like these, if you squeeze it, usually you can feel the bone easily enough. You just cut in the center or cut right next along the line for the bone. If you have a good and sharp knife, it's not that big of a deal. So I just feel in there, there's the bone, so right next to it, and I just cut in and I get my rib. I just throw them right in the pot. The hardest part with dealing with these particular type of ribs is this bone right here, and it crosses right around here. If you feel, you can usually feel where the ribs meet up, and you have 2 choices. You can have this big honking piece of meat, or as I do, I find out where the ribs are, and I have a really good knife, and I can cut through the gristle, and you have a decent size that a lot of people end up liking that one, and then now you can go back to cutting your smaller rib. Now we finished cutting up all our ribs in the style and way that we want to. Now, I'm just going to fill this up with water just so it's cut to the point that it's covering the meat.
Okay, sure that out.
So this might take a while, it's a larger pot. So while this is going, and our outstanding water pressure that we have right now, I myself use a variety of spices. The reason I use all these spices and I'm not worried about it is because I know that all it's going to be doing is saturating the meat. So we have a complete seasoning. That's a variety of onion powders and oregano and various other things. Tastes really good. Not promoting any company. Rosemary, a whole onion, salt, black pepper. I will recommend you using a good Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. I do have a whole oregano. I prefer the Mexican variety. We have this garlic chili paste, really good. And finally, we have garlic, which you'll find in 90% of everything we cook. will put the amounts that I roughly guess that I'm going to use, but there is no true measurement for when you're doing this. This is merely to add some flavor into your meat while it's cooking and softening up. The reason I do this, again, is that I boil off a lot of the fat that you'll find in these ribs, or any ribs, and also it loosens up the meat so that it's not getting stuck in your teeth. And that's one of the most irritating things for me, is sitting around trying not to pick your teeth when you're in public. And so people are going to go, but Victor, you're going to lose all your flavor. No, you're not. You still have enough fat content in this meat that it's still going to be great and juicy, and whatever flavor profile that you were going for. When you put it into, and you have three options. From here, after you boil it, you can either bag it and save it for later. You're going to do what we're going to do now, is that we're going to throw some in the oven after this boils so that you can get it to actually get crunchy and firm up again. And we're also going to try something new and see how they work on the grill. For those people who claim that they can tell a boiled rib from a slow and low, they're full of poop. And if you really want to go the extra mile, they sell on one of those big online places this little square that's a smoker that you can use with a traditional grill, or an electric grill, I imagine. And you just place wood chips in there, you get your wood smoke flavor. It takes about 15-20 minutes. From start to finish, if I wasn't talking so much, this would probably take an hour and a half between boiling and throwing it in the grill or the oven, so that you can have it on the table. I don't believe in wasting time. I cook when I'm about to be hungry or I'm hungry, and I believe in feeding lots of people. I believe in flavor, and from here, I'm going to cut up my vegetables, my one sole onion, and add in my ingredients, and you guys can join me for that. It's probably too big for some people. I cut my onions different, and I'm sure there's somebody out there, you're not cutting the onion the right way. Who cares? I have one mission, and that is to quarter this and throw it into the pot to add extra flavor. It's basically a throwaway onion. So, I guess technically I'm cutting into eighths. Failed that math class. That is it for me with the cutting. Now, you can put fresh garlic in there, you can do whatever, but for the sake of time and space, I'm going to say 2 tablespoons. In reality, that's probably like 8. But again, this is just to marinate your meat, and you're just going to toss this liquid away, so it's not really going to affect it if you put too much or too little. Move it around a little bit. Now, salt, that's neither here nor there. Everybody has their magic number. I go from edge to edge and put in a light pour. That's probably enough. But there's a lot of meat in here, so I'm going to do it again. Off my top of my head, probably 3 to 4 tablespoons. Now, this is really great, but it's watery. It's a liquid based. So I'm just going to use the last of it because we don't have to ruin the kitchen in the fridge. But probably that was about 5 to 6 tablespoons. Now, if you notice, I'm just free pouring. I've done this a couple times. You might want to start off lower with lower amounts, or actually measure it, but I don't, because I know the result. If you put too much in there, it's not going to really affect it, because this is not the final step for the ingredients. So that was my rosemary. Again, I didn't crush it. I didn't do anything special, right out of the jar. Here's my Mexican oregano. It's a little stronger than the standard oregano. And again, if I was going to guess, I'd say about 3 to 4 tablespoons. And now we have our mixed seasonings, which I'm not endorsing anyone, but this is really flavorful. You don't really need much. I would say at the most, if you were going to use something like this, 2 tablespoons. A little pepper. Black pepper I don't really like because I think it masks the taste of other things. So I probably would use about 2 tablespoons to type this guy, and I will use his name. This is a very, very good Worcestershire sauce. It's flavorful. It's not overpowering. and putting in liquids in big pots of juice, it doesn't get weak. So I enjoy it. Now, 5 to 6 tablespoons. And then I'm going to put this on medium heat and let it cook for probably about 45 minutes to an hour. So it's been about 15-20 minutes, and if you see, you can already see that the grease is actually coming out of the ribs, and we don't even have a good boil going on yet. You can see that some of the gristle's starting to pop out of the meat, and it's looking, partially done, which it is. We're going to give this another probably about 20 minutes or so. Things are cooking a little slower than it would at home because the RV stove doesn't quite have the power that most homes units do. So it's going to take a little longer than we do. So I'm going to pull out old trusty. Out of all the things that we got rid of, we kept this guy because it fits on everything. And I was going to show you guys one other thing. While I was cutting, you might have noticed this little guy. It is a flexible cutting board. I don't know how long they've been around. They've probably been around forever, but I only found out about a year ago. It's really great if you have limited space because it's about as thick as a sheet of paper. And you can cut anything pretty much on it. It doesn't get cut through. It has little grips on the bottom to keep it from moving around too much. So it's very handy if you have limited space. Fits in a drawer, it rolls up, whatever you need to do. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just saying we really like this unit. So it's been roughly about 40 minutes or so. Again, this is taking longer than it would normally at home or on a home stove. So if you actually look over here into the pot, you can see that with the Worcestershire sauce, it highlights how much grease actually came off these ribs. These ribs are basically at where I like to take them out and do whatever I'm going to do from here. You can see how the gristle is coming out, the bone is starting to separate, and if we leave them in a little longer, the bone will actually fall out, and usually you can find them in the bottom of the pot. So not only do you see all the grease, what I strongly advise you to do is that after you remove your ribs and you plate them or put them on your grill in your oven, or you bag them up and freeze them, I strongly suggest that you let this water cool and get cold and scrape off the grease. You really don't want to pour these down your pipes because it's not good for definitely not good for an RV, but it's not good for houses either. After a time, it'll build up and clog up your pipes. So I'm going to pull this off, and most likely I'll show you what it looks like once it freezes, just so you can realize how much grease you're actually removing from here. And I guarantee you, you won't be removing any flavor. So I'm removing this from the pot, and as you see, the bone's coming out, the gristle's out. These would probably be 90% of the way cooked, if not more, but I like to put my barbecue sauce on my ribs now. I'm going to put a light coat so that it crisps up in the oven, and then when I pull it out, depending on my mood, I'll add some more, but I usually tell people, especially with our sauces, that you want to make sure to try it first before you reapply, because our sauces, even the mild, is going to be spicy. So you don't want to put too much because you can always add more, but you can never take away. Just remember those key words. This is the very last bottle of our original sauce, which is a slow burn, in existence. Still sealed. I'm really excited. Going to be really sad when I crack this open because this is history. The last of. Until, of course, we have our co-packer create us more. But I want to show you something. Just so you realize how soft these ribs are right now. These aren't the greatest tongs in the world, but I can pull apart the meat, which shows you how much these have separated. So it's not going to be getting stuck in your teeth quite so much. And again, you can see the gristles are coming out. You can probably pull them out with your hands if you wanted to. But I'm going to apply some of our Old Blind Dog slow burn barbecue sauce on here, and like I said, I'm going to put a light coat, throw it in the oven to dry up and crisp up, and then we'll see how it works on the grill. Alright, so here we go. Let's do this. It's a sad moment for me, but Let's hear the top pop. Ah, almost as good as hearing a beer. So, handy dandy basting brush. And like I said, I'm just going to use a light coating. If you notice, our sauces are thinner than the average shelf brands that you will come into. So they're going to be penetrating the meat. So you don't need very much, enhancing your flavor. And also, they crisp up really nice. Alright, so that's about as much sauce as I need to put on it. You can still see the meat. It's really thin. You can rub it off. That's how thin it is. Even though your instincts say you want to put more on, just apply it lightly and come back and add more when you need to. And I'm going to throw this in the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes, just enough to crisp it up, and we will be good. Alright, so now we're outside. We're in front of our flat top. I'm about to try something we've never done, which is throw these ribs onto a grill and see if we can crisp them up that way. If you notice I'm perspiring a little bit, it's because it is an unusually hot June day. And we're in Washington State, so it's usually not very warm. So, I don't know if you can hear them sizzling, getting on there. It shouldn't take very long to crisp these up. These are already done, so you don't have to spend too much time with them on the grill. And if you notice, like on this one, the bone's coming out, and that's what you want. You know the meat is cooked all the way through. You know that it's going to break apart. This one's falling apart now. So we got most of our meat on the grill right now, or the griddle, flat top. I'm saving some because I'm going to freeze them plain. So if you could look at them, they're starting to already crisp up, which is really nice. And as I was starting to mention before, I kept some of the onions that we had in the pot. And A, I hate to waste food, but B, these are going to be really flavorful because they're going to be saturated in the fats that came off of the ribs, plus they're going to have all the seasonings that we put in the water. Yeah, some of the local wildlife just went by on their bicycles. As Susan may have mentioned, we are full-time RVers, so right now we're cooking this inside of a state park. Being we don't know the legalities, we won't mention it, but it's a really pretty park inside Washington State. So now that these have started to crisp up a little bit, I'm going to add my sauce once I find where I did with my basting brush. I'm going to coat this side really quick. We're going to jump in time, and I'm going to throw some cabbage and mixed vegetables on the grill to go with the onions that I took out of the pot, and we'll see you in a minute. So these are the ones that came out of the oven. As you can tell, it crisped up really nicely. They almost look like they were naturally this color. They're still juicy and moist. You can still break it apart with no effort with these tongs. Its weight is almost breaking it itself. They're not going to be sticking in your teeth. And again, we're going to try these after we're finished with the ones on the grill. As Susan told me, every good chef has a glass of wine. Now we have some cabbage, some sweet peppers, some onions that we diced up. I'm going to throw in a few pads of butter just for some cooking goodness, because everything goes good with butter. Now I'm sure there's a particular name if you were a chef. I'm not. I never claimed to be. That's Susan's department. I am a person that likes to eat. I try just about any foods as long as it doesn't involve bugs and tomatoes. Not a fan. So as you can see, our meat is ready to pull off. So I'm going to start pulling that off. I did keep a couple of the ribs that I'm just going to freeze, so you can see us bag those up later, and we're going to throw those right into our freezer, and when we want to eat some later on this week or whenever, they'll be good to go. Now if you look at this guy, you got your caramelization going on. It's still moist, hot as heck, but it breaks apart in my fingers with no problem. I think our experiment with the grill is going pretty good. I probably still would prefer to use either a real grill or throw them in the oven like the other ones that we just showed you. But in a pinch, you don't have either, or you don't feel like doing it, or you're melting like we are with this heat wave. It's not so bad out here. So I'm going to spread these out. If I was smart, I would have grabbed the spatula to do this. And like magic, it appears. Thank you, beautiful assistant, who doesn't want to be on camera because you don't agree with me showing how people how to do this. But I'm a rebel.
They're rolling.
All right, guys, we're back. So I pulled the cabbage and vegetables off the grill. I am going to plate this up for Susan. I really don't care what it looks like as long as the food tastes good, but she's a professional chef, so she's a little more picky about these things. So I'm going to try to make it look pretty, but that's not who I am. So we got our cabbage. We have one of the ribs that came off of the flat top, and I'm going to put one of the ribs that came out of the grill, or the oven, excuse me, and being that it's never complete unless you have utensils, and just a little drizzle. Nah, I'll let her decide if she wants more, because I know I would put more, but that doesn't necessarily mean she wants to put more. And the icing on the cake is a glass of wine because she's a chef and they drink. Anyway, I mean, they're known to drink. They're rumored to drink. Chefs are not. I mean, we're going to cut all this so it doesn't. And the coup de grace, some wine. So I'm going to let my lovely camera girl come in the front and try it, even though she said she didn't want to. Okay. I'm going to take this to my lovely camera girl and let her take a bite. She does not want to have anything visually to do with this. Mm-hmm. She took the biggest bite I've ever seen a human take that isn't my size. And Susan's a dainty little thing, so it's... Do you need more sauce? Mm-hmm. Can you grunt a little louder? Okay. So Susan would like more sauce, so I'm going to oblige her. Again, I would go lightly. I'm going to use a basting brush instead of pouring it like I would normally do. Because after all, we got to make everybody happy. And look at how beautiful that is. Glistening, waiting to be eaten. So, I hope you guys enjoyed our, or I should say my quick video. If you have any questions, comments, let us know below. And we will try to respond to you as soon as possible. Wait, hold on. So we're going to let you guys go. Again, thank you for watching my video. Again, our company is called BlindDogBBQ.com. Our website is obdbbq.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll see you down the road.